Shema, proclaim the name of Yahuwah, may his path straight. Revelations 14. This is for those who keep the commands of Yahuwah. And I looked and I saw a lamb standing on Mount Sinai, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like a voice of many waters, and like a voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of the harps playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. There are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They are redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Yahuwah. And I saw another messenger flying in mid-heaven, holding the everlasting Besorah to announce to those dwelling on the Eretz, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Yahuwah and give esteem to him, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made the heaven and the Eretz and sea and the fountains of the water. And another messenger followed, saying, Baal is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. And a third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worship the beast in his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he also shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahuwah, which is poured out unduled into the cup of his wrath. And he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set apart messengers and before the Lamb. And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, those worshiping the beast and his image. Also, if anyone receives the mark of his name. Here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and the belief of Yahusha. I heard a voice out of the heaven saying to me, Write, Blessed are the dead who died in the Master Yahusha from now on. Yes, says the Ruach, in order that they rest from their labors and their works follow with them. And I looked and I saw a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the Mishkan, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, Send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the Eretz is ripe. And the one sitting on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the Eretz, and the Eretz was reaped. And another messenger came out of the Mishkan, which is in the heaven, and he too held a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the altar, having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him having a sharp sickle, saying, Send your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the Eretz, because her grapes are ripe. And the messenger thrust his sickle into the Eretz, and gathered the vine of the Eretz, and threw it into great winepress of the wrath of Yahuwah. And the winepress was tautened outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress up to the bridles of the horses for about 300 kilometers. And then you go and you read then there's another one. (22), starting at verse 12. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, to give to each according to his work. I am the Aleph and the Tau, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs to the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. But outside are the dogs, and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the adulterers, and all who love and do falsehood. I, Yahusha, have sent my messenger to witness to you these in the assembly. I am the root and the offspring of Deut, the bright and morning star. And the Ruach and the bride shall say, Come. And he who hears, let him say, Come. And he who thirsts, come. And he who desires it, take the water of life without pain. For I witness to everyone hearing the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to them, Yahuwah shall add to him the plagues that are written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Yahuwah shall take away his part from the scroll of life, and out of the Kadosh city, which are written in this book. He that brings witness of these things says, Yes, I am coming speedily. Yes, come, Master Yahusha, the favor of our Master Yahusha, Mashiach, be with the Kadoshim. Those who follow the commands of Yahuwah. Let's read Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 4. And now, O Yesharel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which Yahuwah your Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahuwah did at Baal Peor, for Yahuwah your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you, who are clinging to Yahuwah your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings, as Yahuwah your Elohim commanded me, to do thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard and do them, For this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the people who hear all these laws, instructions. And they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as Yahuwah your Elohim is to us, whenever we call on him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and right rulings, like all this Torah which I set before you this day? Only guard yourselves and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life, and you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahuwah your Elohim in Cobra, Yahuwah said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on their Eretz, and teach them to their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of the Shemarim, darkness and cloud and thick darkness. And Yahuwah spoke to you out of the midst of the fire, and you heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice. And he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahuwah commanded me at that time to teach you the laws, instructions, right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you are passing over to possess. Therefore diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuwah spoke to you at Cobra out of the midst of the fire, lest you do corruptly, and shall make for yourself a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the arets, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the Shemarim, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the rets. And lest you lift up your eyes to the Shemarim, and shall see the sun and the moon and the stars and the host of the Shemarim, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which Yahuwah your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under the Shemarim. But Yahuwah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mitzrayim, to be his people, an inheritance as it is today. And Yahuwah was in range with me. And Yahuwah in range with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Yarden, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahuwah your Elohim has given you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Yarden, but you are passing over, and shall possess that good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of whatever Yahuwah your Elohim has forbidden you. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous awe. When you bring forth your children and your grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahuwah your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the Shemarim and the Arets to witness against you on the day that you soon completely perish from the land which you pass over the Yarden to possess, and you do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the Gentiles where Yahuwah drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of man's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall find. when you search for him in all your heart and with all your being, in your distress, and when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall turn to Yahuwah your Elohim and shall obey his voice. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a compassionate all. He does not forsake you nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. For acts now of the days that are which were before you, since the day that Yahuwah created man on the Eretz, and acts from one end of the Shemarim to the other end of the Shemarim, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard and lived? Or has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials and by signs and by wonders and by battles and by strong hand and an outstretched arm and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahuwah your Elohim did for you in the land of Mizraim before your eyes? You have been shown it, to know that Yahuwah himself is Elohim, and there is no one besides him. From the Shemarim he let you hear his voice, to instruct you, and on the Eretz he showed his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire, because he loved your fathers. Therefore he chose their seed after them, brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence, with his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance as it is today. And you shall know today and shall recall to your heart that Yahuwah himself is Elohim, in the Shemarim above and on the Eretz beneath. There is no other and none else. And you shall guard his laws, his instructions, and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your days on the soil which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moshe, or Masha, separated 3 cities beyond the Jordan, towards the rising of the sun, for him who killed someone to flee there. He who kills his neighbor unintentionally without having hated him in the time past might flee to the one